Hey guys, LQ here with the LQ review. Just got out of seeing Kraven the Hunter. All right, I fully expected going into this movie that it would be a bad movie. You know, Madam Web was a terrible movie. Morbius was a terrible movie. I like the Venom movies for the most part. I mean, they were bad movies, but I had fun with them. So I'm going in with super low expectations, expecting for this to be a bad movie. And it was. I mean, this was a bad movie. The dialogue was horrendous. A lot of the acting was just terrible. This lady who plays Calypso, horrible actress. I don't know. I mean, I think I've seen her in other things before. And I can't remember off the top of my head what her name is or what else I've seen her in, but I seem to remember her being in something where I really liked her performance. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But I recognize the actress, and it was just in my head. I was like, man, I think she's given good performances before. But I tell you, in this one, it's as wooden as can be. There's points where she's speaking dialogue, and it's like she's reading it off of paper. I mean, just terrible. And that's how a lot of the performances are in this movie. Just very wooden, like they're reading it. And the dialogue, I don't know who wrote this, but it's elementary level writing in some parts. It just, I don't know how this got past, all the layers that this has to go past to make it to screen. I don't know how, but there's points where the dialogue just doesn't even make any sense. There's points where there's exposition, and you're sitting there like, nobody talks like this. I mean, it's I think it was Harrison Ford that said once, you can write this stuff, but you can't say it. Well, they said it in this movie, and it was just terrible. It was laughably bad at parts. The movie's about 2 hours long, and it takes a solid hour for the plot to really kick in. And that first hour of the film, I was honestly pretty bored. Once the plot kicked in, I did get more engaged, and there was enough there to keep me, somewhat entertained. But that was mostly due to the action sequences. And to be fair, there was some good action in this film. There's a character who is able to hypnotize people. He's one of the villains. He was a good addition to this film. Some of his scenes were really cool. They were kind of trippy. The scenes where he's in it, you're interested because he is kind of this scary villain. They kind of reuse his same old way of killing people. They kind of reuse it a few times, too many times. But when he fights Kraven, it's a good fight, and it was a lot of fun. The way that the fight ends, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The way that the fight ends, I called it. I was like, this is going to happen. And it happened in the exact way that I predicted that it was going to happen. And that's because about 10-15 minutes before that, they set it up how this guy was going to be dispatched. And then eventually, boom, it happens. Exactly how you predict it. And the way that it happens, it takes away the payoff of how you actually want it to happen. You have to see the movie to really understand what I'm getting at here. But the coolest character in the movie was dispatched in one of the most lame ways. So the Rhino was really cool for most of the movie, and then at the end, what do they do? Well, it's a comic book movie. You have to have your CGI fight, and they had it. And for most of the movie, the Rhino was this imposing, evil, villainous character, and then at the end, it turns into a cartoon. Yeah, this isn't a good movie. There were parts where I was entertained. The action sequences, there were some pretty decent action sequences. The CGI was terrible, especially the animals. The animals were rendered horribly. It was like you were watching It's like you were watching the CGI version of The Lion King, which is good for that. It's good for that movie because while they're going for photorealism, you don't have real people interacting with them. The second you get real people interacting with them, well, then it starts to lose some of its realism, and that was definitely the case here. These CGI rendered animals just did not work when interacting with flesh and blood human beings. Some good action sequences. The R rating definitely opened up some cool stuff that they could do, but overall, it was just a terrible movie, and I recommend skipping it. So I don't know. Have you guys seen it? Let me know if you have and what you thought of it in the comments down below. While you're down there commenting, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, we'll see you guys later.